Hey guys, Askar here and welcome to my channel. In this video or video series, we are going to create this clone version of Colobump 3D. So let's look into what we are going to create. Here we have this nice UI screen where we can see an icon showing swipe to start. As soon as we touch the screen, the level starts and we can move our player through swipe mechanics. And as you can see, the player keeps on moving forward. And we have a cool trail renderer to our player, and as you can see, we have also have a level progress indicator above. As soon as we progress, the level keeps on progressing, and the core mechanics of this gameplay is that we need to avoid different colored obstacles, and if we try to hit them, then we are gonna die, and the entire effect is shown in slow motion, and we get a tap to restart screen. If we press on this restart screen, we can restart the level, and if we complete this level, then we are gonna go into the next level, and I'm gonna show you how to create the levels and everything, and I'm gonna be attaching the assets and the resource required for this project. So let's start. You can download the assets required for this project completely free. And now if you are in a hurry and if you want the entire source code, then it is also available. You just need to pay $1 for it via PayPal and you can have it, or else we are going to create the entire project from scratch. Just follow along. So now let's open a new project. Click on new project and then choose your Unity version. I am using 2020.3.10 F1. Then select 3D. Now name your project whatever you want. I am naming it Colobump 3D clone. Then click on create project and wait for Unity to load up. Okay, so now our Unity has loaded up. So first things first, we will change our build settings to Android because we are gonna build this application mainly for Android. So click on switch platform and wait for it to switch. Okay, now let's close this window and import our assets. You can download our assets from the link in your description and drag and drop everything into our assets folder, and we are good to go. Let them import. So now we have successfully imported our models and materials and textures. So you can see we have 3D models, materials, prefabs, and all the textures required for these projects. And now first I'm gonna change my layout mode to mobile game layout. This is my pre-built layout that I have created earlier, and I am setting the resolution display to 2960 by 1440 portrait. Also, let's save a scene and name it to level 1. Make sure you save it inside the scenes folder. That way it will be organized. Also, now let's create our first cape object, that is our ground. So create a new 3D object and name it ground and set its transform position as follows. Place it on the Z axis to -78 and set the Z position to -20. Also now let's assign a platform material to our ground and create another 3D cube object under our ground. Rename it to wall and set it to -5.1 on the X and 0.1 on the Y. And on the scale for the X and Y, set it to 0.25. And on the Z, place it to 100. Duplicate the wall and set its position on the X to 5.1. And assign the platform material to both of them. Also now let's set up our camera. Create a empty game object, name it camera parent and reset its position. Now drag and drop our main camera inside of our camera parent and position the camera parent on the Y to 17.6, and on the Z to minus 17.7, and set its rotation on the X to 52. Change the Z position of ground. Let's change the Z scale to 20 and Z position to 78. And now we are done with our camera. So let's create our player. Create a new 3D object sphere and rename it to player. Now set its transform on the Y to 0.55 and on the Z to minus 1.15, and set the scale to 1.2 on the X, Y and Z. Also, let's add a rigid body to our player and give it a mass of 40. Now let's create a new folder for our scripts, and inside our scripts folder let's create a new script and name it to player controller. Now drag and drop this script into a player object and open it up in Visual Studio. Don't forget to subscribe because I am gonna be uploading the augmented reality tutorial soon. Now let's add some variables for our rigid body. And also vector 3 for our last mouse position. And some more public variables for sensitivity. Set it to 0.16f, and another variable for clamp delta, and set it to 42f, and another variable for bounds and set it to 5f. Now let's create an awake method. Let's get our rigid body in our awake method. Get component rigid body. Now let's create a fixed update method, and inside of it we are checking for a touch event. If input dot get mouse button down 0, we are gonna set the last mouse position equivalent to input dot mouse position. If input dot get mouse button 0, create a new vector 3 for our new position and set it to last mouse position minus input dot mouse position. Now set the last mouse position equivalent to input dot mouse position. Now set the new position to new vector 3 new position comma 0 comma 0 new position dot x comma 0 comma new position dot y. Also create a new vector 3, move force and set it to vector 3 dot clamp magnitude, new position clamp delta. Now set the rigid body dot add force and set it to minus move force into sensitivity minus rigid body dot velocity divided by 5f. This will be for our basic movement. And also set the force mode to force mode dot impulse. Sorry, force mode dot velocity change. Also add rigid body dot velocity dot normalize after our if method to normalize our rigid body. And now let's test it out. Also set our player's y position to 0.55 and the z position to minus 10.15. Now let's test it out. As you can see, our player is moving perfectly. But as you see, we are moving out of our bounds. So we are going to restrict it by code so that our player does not move after our ramp on the left and right. So let's open up player controller and add a transform dot position equivalent to new vector 3 mathf dot clamp and clamp it to transform dot position dot x because we want it clamped to our x position, and set it to minus bounds comma bounds. We have set a value of 5f earlier, and on the y-axis set it to transform dot position dot y, and on the z set it to transform dot position dot z. Save your script and let's run it. So now you can see our player is clamping its x-axis and it is not moving beyond 5f that we set in our code. So now we have this problem on the z-axis that it is going beyond our screen, and we will be fixing that too soon in the next video. And don't forget to subscribe because there are more tutorials coming in, and let's see you in our next video. Thank you.